Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our next live session. I'll be your producer for our session, but before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor channel. With that, I'll turn it over to our speaker for today. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone. I am Constantinos, and I'm calling from Athens, Greece. So, from wherever you are, I wish you a great day, afternoon, or evening. I'm so glad to be here today in Reactor again. Last time was on April 2024, and things have changed so much, right? And we've seen this year's Ignite was once more amazing, and it set the stage. Okay, so it doesn't only set the stage, but it also says it's like a global, saying here are the tools. Here's the future. Okay, here's how you're going to work. So we're going to be together in a four event series today, tomorrow, and the next Monday and Tuesday, same time. And the topic is MCP and integration with Azure, with a little bit of creativity, let's say. I've selected this topic because, of course, it is a hot topic, but we're going to look into the future through Microsoft lens on how technology should be through the Microsoft stack. Before I begin, I would like to say a big kudos, thanks, and you're awesome guys to the product group teams, engineers, architect, directors, everyone that really brings us the cutting edge technology. We are not left behind because technology runs so fast. Everyone has this feeling, and I'm discussing it with colleagues, friends, and everyone, that we cannot catch up. And why we may get this feeling, I'm always returning to Microsoft and see that everything is here. Okay, I know that we don't have the time because everyone has their own life, of course, but we have access. Okay, we have access, and everything is out there. So big kudos, guys, for everything you bring to us. With that said, but without changing the topic, Microsoft has implemented a lot of MCP servers, including the MS Docs MCP server. Uh, Before we start our presentation, a quick saying of MCP is Model Context Protocol, right? And it is a framework, let's say, that provides access and tools to our agents, to our AI agents, in order to complete certain tasks. So the MS-DOCS MCP server is a gateway to all Microsoft documentation accessible via the web. Of course, this is the raw implementation of accessing the documentation. We can access it through a standard agent, for example, Claude, or another tool that is designed to work seamlessly through an MCP connection or connector, you can say, or integration. But what's going on with the web part? We need sometimes this type of connectivity, either to implement a tool or to bring value of this MCP server to our um, users that are very accustomed using web applications, right? So that's why we're here today. And you will see that in these four events that we're going to have together, we're going to gradually scale up the complexity. So we're going to start very slow, or let's say with the very basics, a web app. A web app that provides access to this MS-DOCS MCP server and how we can build this and make it work seamlessly. What is our web app? It is an AI assistant, of course. Okay. And if you want to have a look on what it is an AI assistant, you don't have to look further than the MS Learn uh, website or portal, learn.microsoft.com. Whether you have an account or not, you are able to use the assistant that you can see right here in my presentation. You can ask any question you would like to ask about anything regarding Microsoft technology, of course. And the assistant that you can see here will bring back the results that you are looking for. But when we want to have this access through our gateway, let's say, the information is massive. The first time I started to work on this case, what I realized is that when you ask the MS Docs MCP server for something, it will bring a lot of results. It will bring uh, results that you cannot, um, uh, let's say, uh, make them appear, okay, in a tidy order. So we want to make this web application user friendly because on one hand, the agents that I spoke about a bit earlier are designed to work with the MCP server seamlessly. But our web app we built from scratch needs some tuning, needs a type of configuration that will, on one hand, bring the results. Okay, it won't leave anything behind and will bring the first results that the MCP server will expose to your call and make them in one way human readable, of course, and on the other hand, valuable. So in our case, we need to make this work for us. Okay. So what is the solution that we have here that we're going to see in a moment? It's like a RAG pattern. Okay. The RAG pattern combines the retrieval from the FCP server and the synthesis of the result. So our AI assistant will produce these expert level answers directly from the MS Learn Docs documentation by querying. We're using a chat interface, the usual chat interface, querying and processing the data that is coming back from the MCP server efficiently. So it is very close to the retrieval augmented generation applications that we're seeing almost everywhere in these days. The retrieval part. Now, the data retrieval process from the MCP server has several components. On one hand, we have the endpoint. This is standard. If you want to look for the MS Docs MCP server, you're going to find this endpoint, learn.microsoft.com/API/MCP. The payload, and this is very important, is JSON-RPC. And this is a global standard uh, for the MCP servers and usually for the uh, payload exchange between your client and the MCP server. It is using the tools call method and the Microsoft Docs search method to effectively query the server, and the server will understand what you are asking for. We need to have a bit of a refinement here, so the request format needs to be accurate. So we will have accurate response. So for example, if we ask for key vault, we need to bring back key vault related answer and the specific type of query we're looking. It's not only about what is key vault, but for example, what is the difference between key vault tiers. And our outcome is a robust data fetcher capable of pulling the documentation into chunks, and the user experience becomes seamless, becomes something very easy. You can just ask and you have back your information. And the final step is the synthesis engine. So this is, as you saw earlier, a two-step mechanism or an engine. We're combining data into this expert response. The engine extracts the text from the FCP results. It generates the answers. And how we are doing this? It's very easy. The answer is there. We're using Azure OpenAI, the usual suspect, right? So we're using Azure OpenAI and you're using it like a translator, if you may. Okay, it is the translator that gets the data from the MCP server in the raw uh, chunked format, and it creates the human readable response that we need to see and understand what we are actually seeing, and it constructs the whole text in this type of understandable for humans. So this is a very important step into our implementation, the synthesis engine. You can do it in many ways, okay? It's not about the underlying framework. But Next.js has one advantage. You have the backend and the frontend integrated into your nice directory structure. You don't need a separate backend to build it. You just use the Next.js API integration with the router that Next.js supports, and that's it. Next.js uses something like a React uh, interface. It's very close. And of course, behind everything is JavaScript. And what we have, we're transforming this interaction with a smooth, engaging experience. And we're just, having this interaction with Azure OpenAI in the middle, facilitating uh, this experience. Now, what we learned from this deployment, where I'm going to show you also where you can find it in GitHub because it's publicly available. We can have persistent debugging of the API requests. It was something that was essential where we were building it, and you will see into our code that you have the capability to uh, enhance it if you want. The prompt design is very, very important. Remember when we started working with our AI applications, now AI agents, we talked about prompt engineering and still stands. Prompt engineering still is very, very important because it defines the character, the behavior of your SLM or your LLM. So you need to be careful how you create the prompt for the instructions for Azure OpenAI that plays that crucial role to transform the payload into human understandable context. And this is the result of this combination is our web application. This is our assistant. This is our MS Learn web assistant. So in order to build intelligent systems, we must focus on integrating the specialized tools that Microsoft provides for us with the advanced AI capabilities that are always evolving. Where in the Genesis, remember, nothing is, um, you know, going to stay as it is. It's going to evolve, and AI is evolving very fast. I remember it was April when I came to present for Reactor, April of 2025, and in these months, everything has changed. And I was realizing just before this call, and I thought it was a couple of years, but in reality, it was April, and it's just these months, these 6, 7 months, we have this great advancement. So enough with the presentation. Let's see what's actually going on. So allow me to switch to my VS Code. And this is a virtual machine in Azure. Everything is already deployed, so I'm not going to tire you by waiting for the deployment. It's already deployed and tested. I have left 2 steps at the end to add just the environment variables so we can see it working in action. First of all, we're going to work on it locally, so you're going to have a look. Before that, allow me to share with you the GitHub repository of the MS Docs MCP server, where anyone would like to contribute is free to do it because the guys have created in reality uh, an open space with discussions. As you can see here, we have discussions and it's really, really active. with a lot of discussions here, and you will also find these solutions that we're presenting today. So let me share with you the link of the discussions, and you will find also in the same URL the join here the chat. Oh, I cannot join. I will ask our presenter to share this link later. So that's not a problem. I need to join through a YouTube, and I'm afraid to do that. Maybe it will disconnect me. So we will share it with you once we're finished. So this is a GitHub repo. Okay, you can contribute to this solution. This is the code for the MCP server. Okay, it's open source, of course, and let's see our web application. So let me show you quickly, so I'm not holding you back. So this is something very simple, a nice interface. You know, working with Next and React allows us to create nice frontends, nice user interfaces with some coloring, some icons, some logos, and a predefined here prompt or welcome text from our assistant. This is not ready yet, so let's return to see how we build this. So all we have to do is start a new Next application. When you run the command, the npx start command for the Next, you're going to have a directory structure created for you already. So what you need, of course, the CSS to create your background. Of course, you can take it from here and you know, make it the way you want to make it. And these are the default packages that you're going to find also in the GitHub repo for this web application. I'm going to share also mine, just not be confused. The pages is the important directory of a Next.js web application. You need to have this index. So let's have a quick look here how our index is built. It's uh, our main application, right? So you can see here that the API is actually a directory, Next.js. And this is the beauty of Next.js. You don't need a separate backend, as we said earlier. So we're building this frontend application. This is the default function of the chat page. You can see here, how can I search the official Microsoft Learn documentation? What you would like to know. And the icons is here. You can also change the model if you want to. This is some visual um, enhancements. And now we're going to parse what is returning our MCP. We need to be consistent about several characters, okay? And we're using, as you can see here, regular expressions to identify them and potentially remove them. Here is how we build the main, or sometimes we call it the hero page, or the header, the hero, and the footer. And here are the placeholders with the logo powered by Microsoft Learn MCP. You can edit everything here, okay? And this is the main front end, let's say. Let's go back to see what is calling. Remember, it was the directory. This is actually our backend, okay? We need to set three environment variables. In the local development, you just need to create a .env file, which is here, and so your API can find them and implement them into the calls. The calls that you need is post, because it's a web app, of course, and you are setting the constant of the MCP server URL, which is the one that we presented earlier. Learn.microsoft.com API/MCP. This is exactly the endpoint that you're going to use uh, in an agent, for example, Claude or Chat GPT. There are a lot of agents out there that you can just seamlessly add the endpoint in the configuration, and then you're talking with your MCP server. This is something that took me a lot of time to identify and be able to set the name. It's Microsoft Docs search. This is very important. We know that it's JSON-RPC 2, and the method is tools/call. Okay. The question now. Step one is how we call the MCP server. We're going to fetch the endpoint that you saw earlier. We are setting through our headers the context, what we are accepting, and what is our user agent, also important. And you can see here that we're JSON stringifying everything. Uh, Error control is important because if you not implement error control at this stage, you're going to have trouble in case you are building it from scratch. In case you don't want to work with this, I'm presenting the case that works. So you can see here that we have something really, really stable. Error control, yes, the results are coming here. And in case that it didn't find something, we have also a reply that is user-friendly and it does not break the experience. Okay, so we have ready, even if an error occurs, the message is I found some documentation, but it didn't contain any readable text to analyze. This is for the user. You can also implement uh, Gemini AI, which is another case, but this is the correct way to implement your OpenAI. Okay, remember that what we said earlier, everything is evolving. So there were some breaking changes from OpenAI and why it is the API calls are evolving. So this is the correct way to call it. Let's see the whole thing. You remember this with the slashes. You need to construct the URL. The method is post. You are calling your Azure OpenAI to be this. What is going to be? An expert assistant. Synthesize helpful answers based on the provided context. It's very simple, and you're going to see that it's very stable, and you don't need anything else. You need error control, of course, for the part of OpenAI, and that's it. So let's have a quick look in our local deployment and how this thing behaves. If you want to run something locally, of course, usually JavaScript and Node-based applications, npm run dev from the root folder. Next.js is building up everything and it is compiling, as you're going to see in the messages. So you just need to click on the provided URL and you're going to be presented with a web application. Let me make it a little bigger. So this is our nice application. Let's ask something very simple. What is the difference of uh, what's the difference of key vault tiers? I don't know if this question is correctly syntaxed, but let's be free in our creativity on how we're asking. So you can see here, it took a couple of seconds to do all the steps that we explained a little bit earlier. What happened right now? Our data was sent directly to the MCP server endpoint, and the MCP server, very fast, as you saw, created the answer. The response came back, and Azure OpenAI took over. It took over to construct this very, very nice uh, narrative. And the answer is correct. It is double checked, triple checked in a variety of questions. And since the MCP server, of course, is working, I can say perfect, your answers are going to be perfect. You can see here that you are also getting this. For more detailed pricing, go to this URL where you're going to find more details. So it's actually explaining why we have different tiers in Azure Key Vault and what the important details that are presented through our application. So if we want to return now to our development workstation. We're going to break with Control C, and let's see what we need to build this into a web app. Well, it's very simple. It's just one command, and this is the command you need. Okay. Of course, you need to have a AZCLI installed, the latest version. In case you don't have it installed, you may see a message that, hey, your AZCLI is not the latest version, please install it. Go ahead and install it. It will take a couple of minutes. Also, make sure that you are logged in into an Azure subscription and you have selected through AZ account set the correct subscription you need. So the command is this one, AZ Web App. You're setting the name of your web application. You need to set the runtime, it's very important, and the location. And that's it. You don't need to do anything else. Everything will happen for you, and you're going to be presented with this web app in your selected region. In our case, it was East US. Now, this thing won't work. Okay, why? We're missing something important, which needs to be added by hand, the environment variables. So let me add the environment variables, and then we're going to quickly um, test our web application in Azure. Now, I'm not afraid about these endpoints, and they are going to be deleted, so there is no problem to show you the actual endpoints. I know that there are not malevolent actors between us, but again, these endpoints are not permanent. They are for the sake of our demo. So we need this Azure OpenAI endpoint. We need the OpenAI key. Remember that in the earlier stages of OpenAI integrated into Azure via the AI portal and then Foundry portal, we just needed the endpoint and the key. Now we need also the deployment. And in fact, the deployment name. So you may have a model, for example, GPT-4o mini, but you may have named your deployment GPT slash dev minus dev minus whatever. So be careful there. You don't need the model name. You need the deployment name. So in our case is this one. Let me also add this. And I'm going to cut it, save, and remove this one. Apply. You need to apply and confirm. Supposedly this time, at this point in time, the web app makes a quick restart. And if you have a look at the logs, you will see that it actually makes a restart. But since this is a very small, let's say, web application, I'm confident that it will work seamlessly. So let's say here, hello, for example. You see here how Next.js with a small additions in CSS and in your index.js can create very nice visuals. So it's really, at least for me, is the framework of choice. So what is a service endpoint? So you remember service endpoints and private endpoints, and especially for people that are just getting introduced into the Azure ecosystem and subsequently to the Microsoft technical stack or tech stack, there are a lot of similarities in names or in services that you need to clarify. So, for example, you need to quickly clarify what is the service endpoint and what is the private endpoint. So you get here your answer. A services point is a configuration element that defines how clients can communicate with a service. And here are the components: the address, the binding, and the contract. And let's see what is the difference. I was thinking of this question. Let's see if we can get it between service endpoint and private endpoint. Sorry, point in Azure. I think it's okay. Let's see if we can get this. Sometimes, you need to push something in the limits, especially when it comes to AI. You need to push it in the limit before you get it into production and double check your answers. Let's see. It's a pretty big answer. How they handle network traffic, and this is correct. Okay, the service endpoints, yes, they use publicly routable IP addresses. There is no private IP assignment. It's easier to set up, of course, and because you're coming through the public network, there is the risk of data exfiltration, and the private endpoint is the backbone connectivity that is offered for your services. And here you get also a nice summary and the final summarized explanation. So I think we are quite happy with our assistant. Again, if you want to, enhance it or make some minor adjustments into your code, you just need to go to your API and provide the message you need to the system message. This is the message that Azure OpenAI is going to get, and it's very simple. And I'm really surprised that it didn't need more. Okay, so this message for me worked absolutely perfect. But you always can uh, get it to the next level, enhance it, or add more uh, prompt into this system message. There is also this MCP Gemini, which or Gemini, which I have also added in the code. So you're going to find also this in our GitHub directory. You can use it. Be careful with the latest API URL for Gemini. So it's going to be this one, and you need a Gemini API key. Now these things are getting a little bit complex because you need a project in Google, and there is a difference between the models that are offered from the retail, let's say, and the other part. But anyway, you can always try it. You can also try um, other models as well. I'm always fine with Azure OpenAI. And yeah, this is our web application. You can find again everything in the GitHub directory and the GitHub repository. It is this one. So if possible, I would love our presenter to add this, our host to add this link into the chat for people to be able to see it. And let's go and allow me to close our presentation with a few words. Now, this is me, and you can click on the QR and get some links. You will also find the GitHub, and there is also a blog about this deployment and this web application that we are implementing the assistant. If you have any questions that you would like to ask or to discuss with me, I'm here for you. I can see the chat. I just cannot answer. Um, Regarding our sessions, we're going to be here tomorrow again with another session a little bit more advanced. This is about an awesome AZD template where we're implementing our own MCP endpoint and asking this endpoint to create diagrams. So it's a very interesting configuration and deployment, a little bit more advanced. But also publicly available. You're going to find it in the awesome AZD templates directory created by the Microsoft community. The next one, the next Monday, is going to be about quite more advanced, about a Streamlit application and how we can provide access to both web assistants, web AI assistants, and um, MCP clients, MCP native clients, through a Streamlit application that also has pre-configured tools and pre-configured system instructions. Very, very interesting because you have a package that provides access to both technologies, let's say. And the third one is a surprise. Windows is the only word I'm going to say, and MCP. Windows and MCP, and Intune. So we have everything there. So enough about that. If there are any questions, I'm here again to answer your questions. Otherwise, I would also like to thank you for being here tonight. I wish I will be. I can see you tomorrow and the next Monday and next Tuesday. Stay tuned in Reactor. I have seen that uh, a lot of sessions are coming up with very, very interesting content, especially after the latest Ignite. People are creating amazing content. How did you configure your account? I'm sorry, your access control for backend database we want to use. Okay, I think I understand the question. Let me show you. In Next.js, you don't need a separate backend, as we said. So the only thing you need is to create this API directory, which is created by when you create the Next.js application and implement this mcp.js uh, file. This JS file is the character is your API, in fact. So you don't need a special database. You don't. If you want to store your answers, then it is another discussion. We're not storing nothing here. This is what you get on the fly, and nothing is stored in a database. So you're just getting your answers from the endpoint. So if I want to be a little bit more deep into your question, this is the MCP server URL that you're defining into your API, and you're getting the payload on a very high level. You're getting the payload and you're sending it to OpenAI, and this is happening on the fly. While you're writing and you're sending the payload, the MCP server creates the response, OpenAI beautifies it, synthesizes it, and brings it back to you. We're not storing anything to any database. I hope this answered the question. Thank you for your question. Right. I think we have not we don't have any other questions. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here, and everyone for watching it on demand from MS Reactor. Uh, yes, since I came in a little bit late. Yes, please. We do have some time left. Yes, please continue. Okay. Hamid, the other side of MCP is accessing a database. How do I pass my credentials? In this implementation, there is not a database included. The MCP server by Microsoft, this MCP, let me show you, this learn.microsoft.com API MCP, don't need to add any credentials. It is open. So any client can connect to this endpoint and get results. Okay? You don't need to pass any credentials. It is open. It is free. No need to pass no credentials at all. No database included here. There is no database included here. Where is the info about the remaining session? I think we have the, let me show you. I will find it for you. Give me a moment. Unless our host can quickly bring it up, I will try to find it. Let me see if I can find it quickly.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I have just posted the link to the rest of the sessions in the chat.
Great.
And I will pin it as well so that it doesn't get lost.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, this is as long as it's for the Microsoft server, right? Yes, we are questioning the Microsoft MCP server that doesn't need no credentials to bring back information. It is open. Imagine an endpoint that can take information and questions from anyone. Remember, there is rate limiting here, so you cannot bombard it with questions from the same endpoint, from the same IP. Okay, there is rate limit implemented, but it's open. No credentials at all. You can just get this application, find your IDE and implement it, and you will have a nice AI assistant talking with MS Docs. It's a gateway. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit cold. So I needed to know for what purpose I wanted to create a web client. Oh, okay, understood. If it's for an open source, then I would substitute it as long as it was an open source data. Um, Let me see if I can understand this. So, for example, if it's for an open source, then I could substitute it as long as it was an open source data. Yes, if I understand correctly, yes, this is not just open source. The server itself, the Microsoft MCP, the Microsoft Learn or the Microsoft Docs MCP server, it is open without the need to authenticate. No need to add credentials there. If you want to do it in your MCP server, for example, you have your MCP server and you want to do the same thing, and your MCP server requires authentication, then you need to provide credentials. Yes, if I understand correctly. In our case, Microsoft Docs MCP server does not require credentials to pass through your calls. You just need the correct language to understand what you are saying. Great, thank you. Yes, I believe that if I understood the question correctly, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for the questions. Um, Again, you will find it in GitHub. Uh, Go to the discussions. You can also click on this QR, and you will find also the same implementation with step-by-step how to do it in the blog and into um, the GitHub repository. You can also ping me, of course. Again, I'm open to collaboration. Can I repurpose it to my internal database? Yes, you can. Licensing, what do you mean? No, you don't need to think about licensing here. No need to take it out of your mind. No need to implement licensing. It is open. It is free, let's say. Step by step on how to do this. You will find it in my blog, cloudblogger.eu. Yes, you can ping me as well. Yeah. I want to say this now, since we have a little bit of time. I'm open to collaboration, everyone. I'm really open to working with you on any case you have, and I'm really open to support you on any case you have. Considering also that I do have some spare time. I don't want to, say something that doesn't stand. I really want to help everyone. Um, Considering I do have the time to help, but I'm really open. So if you want, you can ping me, you can send me a message, and you can work on your case. I really want to help you, and it will be my pleasure. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I think we are done for today. Many thanks to our host for supporting this session. Tomorrow is the next one. Thank you everyone. It's really an honor to present to you and to Microsoft Reactor. Stay tuned for more session, for amazing, more amazing sessions coming into the next weeks, months, and days, of course, and also this 4 series event about MCP and Azure integration. Thank you, everyone. I wish you a great day, great afternoon, and great night. Many thanks to our host at Microsoft Reactor. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us today in the session. I could see that we had a very active chat, and that is exactly what we want to see, guys. And we strive to create excellent content for all of you always, and we would appreciate if you could take some time to scan the QR code that is available on the screen right now. And if you can share all of your comments, your suggestions, your feedback on today's session so that we can continue building on amazing content for all of you. And like our presenter said, we do have more sessions coming up, and the link is in the chat. It will be there for a bit. So come join us. It will be tomorrow, the next session, same hour, same time, same everything. So hopefully we'll be able to see you all tomorrow and in the upcoming sessions. And aside from that, thank you all once again for giving us some of your time, and we'll see you again here at the Reactor. Bye, everyone.